Near-mint condition, the home of collected editions. Oh my gosh, look at that panel of Batman. You have the absolute, you have the deluxe. DC Comics firing on all cylinders.
Empires will crumble and worlds will fade away, but the DC Universe landscape has changed forever. This is a first look at events Crisis on Infinite Earths, Part 1 of the DC Finest line, and you are listening to Near Mint Condition. Happy mornings, happy afternoons, or whatever time of the day it might be for you. I am Dom of X, Near Mint Condition Manager. Today we're going to be taking a look at the DC Events Finest line, but specifically in the case for Crisis on Infinite Earth, Part 1 and all of that. This is a look at the front of the book with a cover of Crisis number 1 as per appropriate. I mean, who doesn't want to see the screaming Pariah calling for the impending doom? I apologize if I spoiled that specific character part for you. Side hand, we are looking at the Harbinger on the spine from the years 1985 to 1986. You know that the next specific book is going to be only 1986 on one hand, but it'll give us the months and dates regardless. And then on the backhand, we do have the same old presenting DC Finest stories with a synopsis of the incoming event. Let's go ahead and take a look inside of that event, shall we? All right, let's go ahead and take a look inside of the event's trade paperback. Marv Wolfman, Roy Thomas, Doug Mensch, and George Perez getting front blazes here. Now, if I had my way again with the designs of this book, I would do something like Events Crisis on Infinite Earths Part 1 Batman Red Skies in the same sort of wider font that the DC Finest trade paperbacks use for their covers, because in reality, I would consider this Batman Red Skies because so much of this is Doug Mensch's Batman, and he is appropriately placed here as well. The other thing that I would do, forget the writer shift, change, whatever you want to call it, I would put George Perez here right now next to Marv Wolfman, or even before Marv Wolfman, because I do legitimately think that the late legendary creator deserves top shelf billing for this event. Let's go ahead and take a look inside. Here is a wraparound, a part of the wraparound cover for issue number 1 of Crisis on Infinite Earths. And there you can see the collection cover artists, who are, of course, Perez and Tollin, along with the estates credited for the super fam, if you will, on the bottom right-hand side. Left-hand side has all of your editorial information, publishing information, copyrighted material information, all of that cool stuff. Same Solisco printer, same old, and all of the editors, of course, that worked on these books. On the right-hand side, we do have the table of contents. Now, this table of contents specifically has stuff that I do like and stuff that I don't like. The first thing that I like is if they are excerpts from certain books, so say they take a page from DC Comics Presents, on which I'll take on later on, I will commend them for putting the creators who worked on that book from writer to whoever else they know from up front that was able to draw or write the script of that title. Unfortunately, the same can't be said for every single one of these other books. They do have the cover credits. They do not have anything else. And for some of these books, not all of them, but some of the issues that you're going to be reading in here, the cover credits are there in the description box or the accredited box. And I also am surprised that it still does have the warning there on the right-hand side of the end of these table of contents. That being said, we do have it, and of course that warning will be pushed out later, or all the books right after, of course, Crisis on Infinite Earths. And then here we do have Crisis. It is time to talk about the end of the world, and perhaps the end of every single world, as the universe is conflicting itself to extraordinary pain, and perhaps the end of what may be everything. I want to give your guys' mind and attention to these 4 pages because I know that some people will have questions about scans and whatnot. These are the brand new scans, specifically in this DC Finest. We're definitely going to be getting a bigger and fresher look at it when the Absolute comes out next year in May at the time of the recording of this video. That being said, on the left-hand side, you can see page 20 of this DC Finest compared to the previous scan on the right-hand side that was part of the deluxe edition. I'm just going to flip-flop back and forth between these 4 pages so that you guys can get an understanding of what DC had prior to the reposition pages by Jose Villarrubia, who did confirm that he was working on restoring the complete and original artwork of George Perez as it is meant to be. We're also going to take a look at these 2 pages. Overall, you can see that there are some different colors between some characters that are on the pages of this book. Perhaps the Harbinger that you are looking at. No, we are looking indeed at the Great Ape Solivar on these pages. So I just wanted to give you guys a quick notice because I do not have any trade paperbacks of Crisis on me. I read Crisis on Infinite Earths first for book club, believe it or not, for the DC Universe app, as it was called back then. It is now different. It's now DC Universe Infinite. But when it was called that, I participated in it in a book club, and that is how I was able to read Crisis all the way back during the inception of that app around 2019. So it's been a long time coming for me, specifically on this one. But I do want to quickly run over the mill on what this collects. And I've thought about how to approach this overview, but I think the best way that I can do it is to tell you guys what has been collected, what hasn't been collected before, and has this been published through DC Finest? Because all of these questions, I think, are essential in the key to this Crisis on Infinite Earth's overview. Crisis on Infinite, is that really a thing? This book collects Batman issues 389 to 391, Detective Comics 555 through 558, Justice League of America 244, Green Lantern 194, Wonder Woman 327, Infinity Inc. issues 18 through 19, Fury of Firestorm 41, All-Star Squadron 50 through 52, the first 4 issues of Crisis on Infinite Earths, not the last couple, and I'll get to that in a minute, the Losers Special number 1, and select pages and excerpts from Swamp Thing issue number 39 and DC Comics Presents issue number 78. I also do want to mention that this collected these issues previously. 389 through 391 of Batman, and along with Detective Comics issues 555 through 558 are also collected in the Batman Red Skies DC Finest, and that Red Skies DC Finest does have those specific issues, and in the same, if you want to even call it, reading order as that DC Finest, appropriated right next to along its Crisis on Infinite Earths counterparts. We also do have Justice League of America issue 244 collected in a DC Finest as well. We also have Wonder Woman issue 327 in the Legend of Wonder Woman, and Infinity Inc. issues 18 through 19 have all previously been collected in that same Justice League of America trade paperback. Uncollected in these DC Finest, however. Of course, it's very difficult to mention a Crisis on Infinite Earths, as of course that has never been collected in these DC Finest up until this point. I also do want to mention that Green Lantern issue 194 has not been collected in the DC Finest, although of course there are going to be plans in collecting the Steve Englehart run, which again I will get to in a minute. We also have the Fury of Firestorm issue number 41, one of my favorite issues from this DC Finest, uncollected in DC Finest previously. Along with All-Star Squadron issues 50 through 52, we saw pages of All-Star Squadron printed out in the Spectre DC Finest overview that came out not too long ago. Was a little bit late on that one. The same goes as well for the Losers Special one-shots, along with that issue of Swamp Thing, along with DC Comics Presents issue number 78. And of course, this has all been collected in the box set. If you were I thought about getting the box set back in 2019, and that was when good old Dom worked at a movie theater trying to get some extra money for college, even though they didn't need it. And I thought better of it, and looking back now, well, I'm happy I have the DC Finest on hand, but I do want to talk about some of at least what you are going to be expecting in this book, and why on earth I decided to call it Batman Red Skies as part of the underlying title of this Crisis on Infinite Earths set. Okay, let's go ahead and talk about Crisis on Infinite Earths, why it's so important, at least for the, we want to call it Spark Notes. That's what I always said in high school. Anyways, Crisis on Infinite Earths is the first major event created for, well, oh my goodness, DC Comics. It is the answer to the then, if you even want to call it bloated continuity, DC decided to consolidate every single one of their universes into one specific Earth and just have it running for as long as humanly possible, with a set in mind for specific characters being able to be rebooted, such as Superman and Wonder Woman. Other characters such as Batman were unaffected primarily because of the shapeshift and tone, but what you do have is the essential markings of a mystery unfolding as something, a force somewhere, is crumbling all of these different Earths and pickpocketing different universes for their selves. We don't know who that entity is, but what we do know is that we have a character whose name is Lila, or otherwise known as Harbinger, who comes to the rescue and starts recruiting every single person that she can find that she believes is not only qualified, but is able to stop the entity from absolutely crushing what would be considered today as the multiverse. And unfortunately, some of these Earths are going to get passed up because the toll, the unspeakable and undeniable plausibility of the worlds collapsing at large is going to lead to this ramification of these different characters, these different worlds, all coming about to stop whoever this one entity is. Unfortunately, it does take a little bit of a while to get there, but what we do have in this trade paperback is a viewpoint of Harbinger being able to cross-coordinate and figure out exactly who to recruit so that she can undeniably say, I am able to triumph over this entity, and she is helping along somebody who hopefully can gather enough power to stop this collapse from destroying every reality as they know it. And that is Crisis. Now, why am I calling this Batman Red Skies? Particularly to, yes, this page here, as you probably have seen from the cover of Batman Red Skies in the DC Finest, a good chunk of this volume is already part of DC Finest in the Batman line of their books. Batman does not have a large or particular role to play in Crisis because, let's just be real and honest, if you have an entity, doesn't matter if it's the Spectre, doesn't matter if it's one of the Guardians of the Universe, I think Batman is probably one of the last people that you would ever put in the line of fire when it comes to, I am going to save the entire universe from absolute destruction. So what does Doug Mensch do here? I covered a little bit of that in the DC Finest Batman one, but it is essentially not really a part of the grander narrative, the grander scale of Crisis. We do get some reference to Red Skies, and unfortunately, that is all that we're getting in terms of Batman. It is the same Doug Mensch writing that you are expecting in the pages of Batman and in Detective Comics. If you like that type of thing, and if you just want to see, well, what Batman is up to, there is a big, heavy double dipping in terms of that note, so expect nothing different there. If you did not pick up that DC Finest Batman Red Skies, just not interested, I would definitely say that you should check these out, maybe sort of like as a sampler. And if you like the tone that they are bringing, I would suggest getting the DC Finest Red Skies. Maybe it'll change your opinion, but you do get a little bit of a sampler there just in case you actually don't want to check it out yourself. I do want to get to some of the other series before I do close out the video. Green Lantern is currently written by Steve Englehart. I always tell people, if you can get past the Hal and Arisia stuff, which is just way too much to cover in just a short amount of time, I think Steve does a pretty particularly good job in terms of creating this sort of wider cosmic narrative in his Green Lantern books. One of the things that he did primarily was bring John Stewart to the forefront as one of the main characters of the Green Lantern title. He is the wielder of the Green Lantern. He's the main person that we're going to be focusing on. And we do get to see a sort of point of view version of that in the Green Lantern tie-in to Crisis as Harbinger continues to recruit more people against this entity that is going to destroy every single bit and thing in the universe. We also have the Fury of Firestorm in here. The issue is written by Jerry Conway. It sort of get to see the splits between Ronnie Raymond and Martin Stein. You have fantastic looks at trauma and just how it can affect one person. And that definitely goes into effect when, yes, the calling and beckoning does come and we get to see Firestorm react in a way that I did not expect in his own specific title. We also have 4 issues of other titles in here. The first one being the All-Star Squadron. We get issues 50 through 52. And that specific series, as technically already been covered, I covered a little bit on the Spectre forefronts, but it is the main sort of team of World War II, those same JSAers, pickpocketed in their own specific universe. And in those tie-ins, we do not only just get to see those characters being recruited, but we also do get to see some Captain Marvel, or now as he is called, Shazam, Billy Batson, that entire family of characters being brought into the wider narrative with Harbinger. So if you are a fan of Shazam, if you're a fan of Billy Batson, fan of Captain Marvel, if you are a big 80s guy, I would definitely suggest you reading that. We also get this issue that I am looking at right now, which is the losers. The losers, for those who are in the unknown, it's on the tin. You have these World War II soldiers that come together in the European theater on the Western Front. All USA military members, but all from different branches. You have one person who's part of the Air Force, you have one person who's part of the Army, etc., etc. And they find out that they've lost something in their lives. And that's when they come together and say, hey, we're the losers. And it's the most James Gunn thing that you can think of. And honestly, I'm surprised that he hasn't come around to doing adaptation of them yet. It definitely is right up his alley as the CEO of DC Studios. And then we also get a sneak little preview of what was going on in the pages of Swamp Thing. But the Swamp Thing issue that is collected in here, issue 39, is more so a reference to none other than, well, the Red Skies in the same way Batman did in his particular book. So if you are interested in seeing how John Constantine is talking about this, which is partly his own issue, as of course he is very much tied to Alec Holland, I would definitely suggest checking that out. And the same issues that are covered in here, the Wonder Woman issues, the Justice League of America issue, they have all been covered in other other DC Finest trade paperbacks. So specifically for those characters, if you have already read them just in the same way as Batman, expect to read them again here, because sometimes, well, life is inevitable, and of course those issues tying into Crisis are going to be a big part of that. That being said, I commend DC for putting this collection together and also being able to put these fantastic scans. I think it would be a shame of me for me to not say that George Perez makes this book the best in terms of the way that he panels, his art style, and the undenying love and craft that he had to give us a presentation unlike any other. He makes this event, and I think Marv Wolfman would 100% co-sign on that. And that, as they say, is Crisis. Now, if you're looking to buy Crisis on Infinite Earths Part 1, please check out our sponsors.
If you're in Europe and you're interested in buying these books, definitely check out Walt's Comic Shop in Berlin, Germany. They have the cheapest pre-order prices, flat shipping rate of €12 for all EU countries, emails answered within 24 hours, waltscomicshop.com, and you can use the code Near Mint Condition at checkout and get free shipping for all EU countries with your first order over €40. That's Walt's Comic Shop, your reliable source for omnis and premium collected editions in Europe. Ding!
CheapGraphicNovels.com, your online home for graphic novels and collected editions up to 50% off cover price. They have excellent shipping and prompt and helpful service. Check out their bargain deals for up to 90% off cover price. And don't forget that CGN also takes pre-orders. That way you don't miss out on the hottest releases. And they are currently running a special promotion for you Minties. If you're a first-time customer, after receiving your order confirmation email, reply back to that email and let them know Near Mint Condition sent you their way. They will then apply a free shipping promotional credit to your next order in the US. Cheap Graphic Novels, your source for the hottest books with the kind of deep discount, quality shipping, and customer service that will keep you coming back for more.
And that is going to be it from me. I am Dom of X. Let me know down in the comments section if you've read this before, if you want to buy it specifically for the way that it's presented in reading order, or if you simply just want every single Crisis on your shelf. I think this is a great way to pick up the series. But that's going to be it from me. Please stay safe, everybody, and have a wonderful day wherever you are.